Um, so we'll get started. All right. Hi everyone. So this is a video about how to use an EMG data acquisition system. This video is for people who weren't in the lab, and also I feel like I rushed through a lot of content during the lab, so hopefully this can clarify a lot of things. I'll go over the lab one more time, but I'll go into a deeper level so that you guys can be prepared for the exam as well. So to go over the things, here we have a Delsys EMG system. This is the electrode that gets attached to the muscle of interest or the skin near the area. So you can see there are two electrodes, and the key part of this lab is we need to place this strategically so that we can measure the muscle that we're really interested in. So first off, so the most important part is the location. If we were trying to measure the bicep EMG signals, we could either place it here, here, or here, but the most adequate location is at the belly, because if I were to place the sensor, let's say near the elbow joint, then as the person flexes or extends the arm, you can see the electrode can actually move with it, which creates a lot of noise, or it's called motion artifacts. So that distorts the signal that we want to collect. Also, you can see that near the elbow region, there are groups of muscles that can create a lot of crosstalk. So the biceps, for example, is near the forearm muscles, and let's say if the subject flexes their forearm, then that signal might be read from the EMG electrode. Also, the orientation of the electrode matters. So the two bars need to be perpendicular to the muscle fiber. So this is a good way, or this way, as you can see. The way we attach these electrodes is using these double-sided adhesives. So they have slots in them so that the electrode can conduct through the skin. So we simply put it there, and here we go. And we put it at the belly of the muscle. The other important part is the reference electrode. So there are a total of two electrodes. One electrode is, as we were talking about, the EMG electrode. The other one is the reference electrode. So because we're completing a circuit, we need to have a ground, or the reference. And the best location for placing these electrodes, these reference electrode, is usually the epicondyle, which is the bony part of the elbow right here. And that's because there is not a lot of muscle that can interfere with the reference itself. So once that's set up, we're ready to actually collect the data. So I'm going to turn the camera over so you can see the signal. There we go. Okay. So this is a software developed also by Delsys, and yeah, there we go. And it's all set up so that we can read the EMG sensor of interest. And so what we're going to do is collect some really preliminary data. So first, Pratik is going to relax his arm, just let it rest. And you can see there's a baseline, and then try flexing. Try flexing your biceps. Yeah, and then let go. So you can see there are clear activations. Flex, let go. Yeah. So every time Pratik flexes, there is a peak or increase in the amplitude. Now, in this case, we see quite a lot of noise actually, in the baseline noise, and that could be due to many reasons. First of all, it could be the ambient noise here, or it could be his skin conduction is not great. So there are a couple of procedures that people recommend. For example, using alcohol wipes to clean the skin. In fact, we could try that out right now actually and recollect the data. So, okay. So I'm going to detach the electrode. Cleaning skin. Also on the reference side. Reattach. And these self-adhesives are single-time use only. I actually think it's also a good idea to clean the electrode as well, since it was in contact with the skin. Okay. And once the alcohol is all evaporated, we can attach another adhesive. Double-sided tape, and we can place it. All right, so we're gonna check out the EMG signal again. So relax your muscle. Yeah, and then flex your biceps. Let go. Flex, let go. So you can clearly see the baseline noise that was there from the previous run is all gone, just with a simple wipe of alcohol. That's because people can have different amount of dead skin cells or lack or excess of oil, so we can all get rid of that by preparing the skin. So it's really important to condition, or it's really important to prepare all these do all these procedures that prepares the skin for really good EMG signal measurement, because some subjects may, especially seniors, may have quite different skin condition compared to, let's say, a very young, healthy subject. So just keep that in mind. Another thing I want to note is if you look at the range, it's -5 to 5 millivolts, and that's a typical range that you see for an EMG signal. But if the subject has any neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's or cerebral palsy, that magnitude can decrease because the muscles are not firing properly. And the other thing is, okay, so another key important thing is critique our subject. If he were to, let's say, flex his shoulder, so go ahead and flex your shoulder, you can see that there is not much increase in the amplitude. But when he tries to move his biceps or his triceps, actually, you can see there are actually signal being activated because there's he's moving his arm actively. So the key here is that you want to activate the relevant muscle to fire the EMG, yeah. So it's really important to instruct the subject to perform the right task, and having someone to monitor the subject, performing these tasks is very important, because the EMG might be detecting, or the subject might be performing tasks that you don't want them to. And yeah, the one last part is the orientation of the sensor. So if we were to say change the orientation of the sensor like 90 degrees, like that, you can see the signal still reads pretty well, but it's recommended to make the sensor oriented such that they are as it was before, because the frequency domain of the signal may be changed depending on the orientation of the sensor, and the Delsys recommends the electrodes being perpendicular to the muscle fiber. And yeah, that is it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just shoot me an email, and I'll have another part video discussing the analysis of the signals in more detail.